Hi guys, this is a little section on our do-it-yourself invitations. Mostly they're for weddings, but lots of people have figured out that you can use them for birth announcements, grand parties, balls, anything you want. So you go to the website, which is where you already are, and you can look at all sorts of different types. Here's an example of 3 different kinds. This is one that was with an enclosure where you tuck the invitation in. And it's really perhaps a little less work than some of them, but it's a wonderful invitation. This is our famous petal invitation that all the petals tuck in, and you have this wonderful layered invitation with a sash. And then this is a number 10 layered invitation. This is great if you have a lot of information because you get 2 sheets. You don't have to use them both, but you can have one sheet that has the important parts of the wedding, and then another part that could be how you met or anything you want, directions, anything. So all 3 of these invitations, 3 types, and there's more. You can order samples online, and when you buy your kit, you get credit for the one that matches the kit. So now we're going to talk about the computer part, which is the hard part. I cannot do it. There's a certain age at which you just aren't really good at this. Find your young friends. You see, most of you guys, you're young. You can do the computer thing, and that's what these kits are so perfect for. Get it laid out, do a lot of press checking, print it on crappy paper, and then when you're all ready, do your run, then you're going to cut it. So here's my handy dandy little machine, and on this one it was printed with a line around it. What we're going to do is trim that line off because the line would show. If you know how to do crop marks, put crop marks on, and then you don't have to do this piece. Like that. And you just go around and cut off every one. I will just cut one of these for you. Notice I'm holding it in place with these little guys here. It's really quite easy. Lining up, cutting, and now I'm ready for the last cut on this one. This is, by the way, I don't know if you can tell in the video. Oops. But this is going to take 2 cuts because one cuts one clean and the other cut will cut this one clean. So now I'm going to trim that off, and then we're ready to start the layering process. Did you see I didn't hold these down and it jumped? There we go. Now it's perfect. Okay. We are done with the trimming part. So this is our handy dandy xyron machine. It's the best, and I'm going to just put it in like this. It fits, as you can see. There's lots and lots of room along the sides, so it's a perfect little size. And then you crank the sucker through, and it has a little cutting device. And this is what it looks like. It's the most magical stuff. You take off the cover sheet, which takes the adhesive off of the surrounding part, and then you lift this up carefully, and it's completely adhesive backed. You absolutely look like you're a pro. So you put this down, and now comes the second hardest part, and that's making sure that this and this are perfectly aligned. I think that you ought to perhaps consider putting a tiny little dot on the first couple ones so that you know what you're doing. For the sake of time, I'm not going to, because I'm going to show you a trick if you screw up. So there it is. So now I've nicely put it on. If you want to be really careful, you can just sort of use a carrier sheet a cover sheet to really do like that, or use your bone folder. The Teflon bone folder will not leave a shiny mark, so you can use it directly. And it goes like that. Now, I don't know how well you can see it, but I have miscentered it ever so slightly. The bottom is smaller. This is small. This is a little bigger, and this is the biggest yet. If you want to be perfect about it, you can get your cutter and just trim off this tiny side, and no one will ever notice. It'll be absolutely perfect. It's a good sort of cheat. So now we're going to cut the ribbon, and you get 15 inches per invitation. Oh, first I'm going to cut off, a new bolt always has sort of a nasty little end, and so I'm going to cut that off and measure my 15 inches. When you'll notice I'm doing all the steps at once. Obviously when you're doing 50, you want to do all 50 steps, each one at a time, and then go back and then cut 50 pieces of ribbon so that you're not changing steps all the time. So there's my ribbon. Here's my sash. The sash goes around it. Let me show you how this works. The sash goes around it like this, and then again fold the edges here. I'm going to again use my trusty bone folder just to crisp up that fold. You're trying to get both pieces to line up exactly perfectly. So then you crisp it up with your bone folder, and then you take your ribbon and you tie it on. Tying a beautiful knot is not an easy feat. It might take me a couple tries, but I don't know if you can possibly see what my fingers are doing, but the trick is to tighten it up. This, in order, this is the third hardest thing to do. And by the way, I've gotten some invitations of really unattractive knots. Didn't make any difference. So don't you worry if your knots are lousy. Okay, so there's a knot. Now, I want you to notice two things. One, because of the camera angle, I did it upside down. Always have your tails go down, so instead of up. See how they're pointing up? So the way you can solve that is just take them right off, don't undo the knot, and just turn it around and slip it in the other direction. And then that will look perfect. And then notice also that the tails are different lengths, and that you just fix by whatever length this one is, you make the other one the same. And you're going to say, but all my invitations, some have long tails and some have short. But remember, they're going to different people. No one compares their tails. Now comes the xyron machine again. And believe it or not, I'm putting the whole thing in. Before you do that, make sure that everything is exactly the way you wanted. So I'm just carefully maneuvering that into place, and that's just fine. So it goes like this. Again, it still fits in the machine. And it comes out. I trim it, and there we are. Success. And I take off that top piece. You know, I forgot to show you one of my favorite little tools, and that's the cleaner-upper. So I'll show you that next. So you take this off the back. You see it's sticky all over the back. You very carefully, again, this is, you don't have any leeway on this one, so you need to put it in fairly carefully, but it's a lot easier than the red layer. And then again, you can either just use your fingers. Always use something in between again, just in case you have hand cream on or something like that. You can use your bone folder if you want, although it's not really necessary. Now here's what I want to show you. This is a adhesive eraser. Not an eraser made out of adhesive, but one that erases adhesive. And you just use this. It'll pick up little teeny pieces of gunk. So, a perfect invitation in just a couple minutes. 50 invitations, 100 minutes. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. And you will amaze your friends, wow your family, and have a fabulous, fabulous wedding. Like that. You drag it through. It's disappeared inside. I think we have a flawed machine. I'm serious. It's gone.